Hey guys, good morning. So for today's vlog, I will be discussing a legal matter that a lot of you may relate to. Okay, but first things first, I would like to make a caveat or a warning that this is not a legal advice and you should not be taking my advice or any of my statements in this video or in this vlog as foolproof advice for you to follow. Okay, because us lawyers can only provide any opinion or any legal opinion based from any information that you will be providing us. So this is just for guidance, for your information. If, for example, you fall into this kind of situation, then at least you know your situation. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, at the end of this video, if you feel like you want to retain my services, please do not hesitate, and I'll be posting down below all of my contact details for you to reach me at. So basically, I will be discussing about divorce. In Canada, divorce is allowed. As you all know, for us Filipinos in the Philippines is the only country in the world that doesn't recognize divorce. What we only have is annulment or the nullity of marriage. Annulment assumes that there is a valid marriage and we want that to be annulled or declared void or declared terminated. As on the other hand, the nullity of marriage means or assumes that the marriage is not valid in the first place. Be that as it may, a lot of Filipinos, not in the Philippines, outside of the Philippines, are somehow in that situation where their relationship with their spouses have already been tarnished, either because of abuse, either because of lack of communication, either because they have grown separately. And those are things that are common. Those are things that cannot be avoided. Those are things that actually happen. Now, there are Filipinos who come to Canada leaving their spouses behind, leaving their families behind. And of course, there are those, that's the situation wherein the Filipino who has immigrated to Canada has found a new one. Or there are instances where both spouses have come to Canada searching for a better opportunity and better life, only to find out that their relationship has been tarnished and that they have grown apart. Be that as it may, us Filipinos and any other nationalities who are residing in Canada has the opportunity to actually file for divorce. Okay, now divorce in Canada is regulated by a federal legislation called the Divorce Act. Basically, there are three grounds for divorce. First is separation, second is adultery, and third is cruelty. Let me just briefly discuss as to what these three grounds are. So basically, in Canada, it has long been recognized that two people who have celebrated their marriage or who have married together may find themselves being alienated from one another, or that they may have grown apart from each other, realizing that they are not compatible with each other. It could be a year, it could be months, it could be weeks, or it could be decades. It doesn't matter. For separation, you have to have at least separated for at least a year, okay? And the person or both of you have agreed or have intended to actually separate from one another, regardless whether you are still living together under one roof. Okay, just to be clear, Irvin, kailangan ba ang dalawang tao or ang mag-asawa, kailangan ba maghiwalay ng bahay na tinutuluyan in order for them to proceed with the divorce? No. There are instances wherein the courts have recognized that separation can happen even though both spouses are actually living under one roof. What matters most is their intention to actually be separated from one another. This is true just because it is harder for, lalo na for those spouses or those couples or spouses, okay? I will be using spouses because divorce precedes marriage. Divorce means there is marriage between two people, two persons. So basically, there are situations wherein two people or the spouses have actually invested all of their time, all of their money in the property, diba? And properties in Canada are not cheap. They're very expensive, okay? And basically, most of our salaries go to mortgage, paying off mortgage. So basically, courts understand that and acknowledges the hardship that it may entail for one person. Kasi, for example, if the other spouse or if one spouse leaves the residence or the dwelling, then he will incur additional costs for, let's say, renting a place or buying a new one. So basically, the courts have allowed for this kinds of situation. Okay, so separation has to be at least 1 year. Okay, second, it would be adultery. Adultery in this common parlance is when the other spouse or one spouse has actually committed adultery. When, for example, he has found another one, he has established a relationship with the other person, and he has this kind of structure wherein they are more than just friends, okay? And that's perfectly fine, okay? It doesn't have to be proven before the court in a criminal case because in the Philippines, we know that adultery is a criminal offense. In Canada, you don't really have to file for a criminal offense before you can proceed with divorce under adultery. As long as you saw your spouse cheating, then that's enough. Third would be cruelty. The cruelty in the sense that there is not just physical abuse, there's also emotional abuse, there's also mental abuse. Irvin, kailangan ba paulit-ulit? Gaano ba dapat kadalas yung abuse na nararanasan ng isang tao before he or she can file for divorce? It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter how long. Even for just one instance, you can already file for divorce under the ground of cruelty. Cruelty in the sense that your person has been degraded, demeaned, and you felt worthless. So that's cruelty in a sense, okay? Generally. Now that we know the grounds for divorce, Irvin, tama ka. Mukhang nandun ako sa sitwasyon na gusto ko rin mag-file ng divorce. Unfortunately, gusto kong mag-file. Paano ba to? Meron akong mga anak, meron kaming properties. Ano ba to? Pwede ba to? Oh. Yes, you can file for divorce even if you have kids with your spouse or if you have properties registered under both of your names. Okay? This is something that is normal kasi you are not, when you get married, you're, of course, you are living together, you're considered as one. Of course, you are hoping that you will be spending the rest of your lives with with your spouse. But for circumstances beyond your control, you cannot. So the courts will actually allow that. The courts understand that, and the courts will actually make provisions for your children and for your property. Okay. Basically, if, for example, support, of course, when you have children, it's not cheap or it's not easy to actually raise a kid, diba? The expenses it entails, diba? So the courts will actually provide for provisions for support for your kids. And Irvin, paano? Kasi nag-asawa ako, unfortunately, sinabi ng asawa ko, mag-stay na lang ako sa bahay para mag-alaga. Pwede ba paano yun? Hindi ako kumita. Paano yun? Pwede ba akong kumuha ng support? Yes. Initially, you can file for spousal support other than the child support. So that is allowed. Okay? Now, Irvin, properties, paano yun? Pwede ba kami maghati? Oo, pwede. Lalo na kung pinaghirapan yung pareho at yung payment na yun ay galing sa inyong dalawa. Yes, you can do that. Now, in the next one, Irvin, okay, mukhang nandyan ako sa sitwasyon na yan, gusto ko na mag-file ng divorce. Ano ba ang requirements to file for divorce? At mayroon bang iba't ibang options to file for divorce? Yes, I will be discussing that to you in a bit. So when you file for divorce, you have the option of filing for divorce with your spouse or without your spouse. Okay? So basically, when you have decided to file for divorce, you can actually discuss this with your spouse just to get to know the feeling whether the divorce application will be mutual. Wherein, for example, if you feel like, okay, you don't want to live in this relationship anymore, you want to file for divorce, does your spouse have the same mutual feeling as well, or a mutual decision as well? Because if it is, then it would be something that you can go for a joint divorce or an uncontested divorce. So basically, if, for example, this situation happens when, say, for example, you have been separated together for at least a year, okay? So when you are going through that route of separation, then both of you have decided and have come to an agreement to actually file for divorce. So that way, you can go towards the joint divorce, wherein both of you can actually file for divorce and then basically just submit all of the application forms, and then without appearance before the court, without any appearance before the judge will review the documents and then either grant it or not. Now, usually for joint divorce, both parties actually come to an agreement to terminate the marriage. Joint divorce is best if both parties have come to an agreement, for example, particularly with support for the children or any of their custody or any parenting arrangement for the children na both of you can agree upon, then that's best. Also, for example, if you have properties under both of your names and both of you have decided to actually separate that and both of you have agreed to that, say for example, let's just sell the house. For example, we've got two vehicles. One vehicle will be yours. The other vehicle will be mine. For example, dogs. That can be yours. I can have the cat or whatever. As long as both of you agree on all the terms in terms of property and custody over the children, then joint divorce is best for you. If you don't have any kids, if you don't have any properties, joint divorce is best because at least you are actually saving so much time and cost in applying for divorce. What if, for example, Irvin, tarantado tong asawa ko ayaw niya, Ahmad, ayaw ko talaga. Then, if for example, your spouse has said that he will contest a divorce, then joint divorce is not possible. This time, it will be a contested divorce, wherein, of course, this is the very lengthy, complicated application and complicated divorce process, just because even if you want to file for divorce, your spouse will be fighting you in tooth and nail to oppose the divorce application. For example, he doesn't agree with the way, with the custody over the children. Say, for example, you wanted shared custody, shared parenting arrangement, but he wants total custody, total parenting arrangement. Then you don't both agree. Then let the judge decide for that. For example, you have a matrimonial home. For example, he wants to stay in the property. You want it sold. You cannot agree. Then let the judge will have to decide. So this is something that you can use if you disagree on all things. Okay, for example, you agree in the property division but not in the custody of children, then it is still contested because your spouse actually disagrees. What about Irvin? Okay, wala siyang pakialam. Yes, uncontested divorce can happen. Say, for example, adultery or cruelty. He has committed adultery. You wanted to file for divorce. Basically, uncontested can be the same as joint, wherein you file for divorce, you sign, he receives the statement of claim. He doesn't have, but he just doesn't respond to it. Meaning that whatever you want asking for from the court, he will just have to agree with it. So that's something that is an uncontested divorce. So yeah, so again guys, this is a general overview of divorce. I'm not going to go any details. I will make that separate video. And if you have any questions, I have posted my contact details below. Again, please don't forget to like this video, share this video to your friends, subscribe to our channel, and click on that notification bell down below so that you'll be updated in my future videos. Again, I will see you in the next vlog where I will be talking other legal matters, particularly family, immigration, corporate, and criminal. Again, I'll see you soon. Bye.